Hey everyone, Heymanis here. And if you're anything like me, you clicked on this video because you think leveling your Necramech is way too goddamn slow. Now, let me be honest, leveling Necramechs is slow, and so much worse than leveling anything else in Warframe. Like, it's pineapple on pizza bad. On top of that, I have no friends, and I am allergic to recruitment jet, so I did all of my leveling solo. And of course, I wasn't even playing the game when the best leveling method was available, Orphix Venom, so yeah, that kinda sucks. If any of this sounds familiar, then hopefully I can help out a little. I did a bunch of testing myself while trying to level my Void Rig, trying out all the different methods of leveling that I found online, and came up with a decent alternative method that actually didn't seem that popular. Keep in mind it will still take a long time and it will suck, so buckle up. To try and limit the amount of times you want to head bash a wall, prep work is important to leveling your Necramech. While it's easy enough to join a random Sanctuary Onslaught mission for weapons and warframes, leveling your mech will take so long that preparing for the grind will really pay off. First of all, buy an affinity booster. Seriously, just get one. Plan a day or weekend where you're gonna do this leveling, buy a 3-day booster. If you're poor, you don't have platinum, just farm relics, sell stuff from the relics, get 40 platinum. This is still much quicker than just leveling your Necramech without a booster, and will hopefully make it so you leave your fork in the kitchen and not in your eyeballs. Of course, bringing a Smedekavat with a possible XP boost from Charm is also advised. Next up, a few mods will really help leveling your Necramech. The problem with those mods is a lot of them are freaking rare. If you really want to make the most of your leveling and make it as fast as possible, then try to get these mods. You might have to trade for them, not all of them are currently available in the game, but they do make a large difference and they will be useful for your final build anyway. The mods I recommend are Necramech Vitality, Rage, Repair, and Enemy Sense. Necramech Rage is sadly only obtainable through transmuting mods, and Repair is just flat out not available outside of training with other players, and it's really freaking expensive. They still make it so you're very durable while you're leveling, and Rage makes it so you can keep your energy up while you're using your Exalted weapon. They're not needed per se, but especially Necramech Repair will make it so you're able to keep your Necramech alive, and you don't have to wait for the cooldown to happen every time your Necramech eventually dies. There's some other mods that will obviously also help, and here's my own setup while I was leveling my Necramech. Most of them are meant to increase the damage of Void Rig's Exalted weapon or just add survivability. If you're a lower mastery rank, you'll probably have less energy to work with, so just throw on whatever you think is helpful. And now for the last part, your Warframe. You might not think that your Warframe is all that important while you're leveling a mech, but any affinity that your Warframe gets by killing enemies while you're inside your Necramech will actually flow into your Necramech instead. That means that Warframes that can kill enemies while you're in your Necramech, like for example Octavia or Wukong with his clone, can actually help you level your Necramech while you're still like just after a forma, so it's unranked, you don't have damage on your Necramech, you know, stuff like that. And Bone Widow has a lot less damage than Void Rig, so it might be better using a method like this instead of using, you know, your actual weapons. I hope you're still awake because you can finally get to the actual leveling methods now. There's quite a few of them that are pretty well known, and while I will tell you about most of them, I also have a slightly different method I found on myself, which I found by far the best, but is also a little bit less straightforward. You can currently use your mech in all 3 open world areas in Wheeljack. Plains of Idling kinda sucks for leveling. I haven't tried Wheeljack all that much, but in my testing that also wasn't that good in my opinion. So the only real options are Orvelis and Harder Demos. DE said that they wanted to implement the option to use mechs in normal missions in the future, but unless you watch this video in like 2025, I really wouldn't count on it. So let's start with Orvelis. There's currently 3 methods that are fairly known that can be used to level your mech in Orvelis. The first one is the Thermia Fractures. This is a limited time event in Fortuna that comes back pretty often, I think it's like bi-weekly or something, and throws quite a lot of enemies at you while you're doing them. Problem is, it's actually quite easy to get overwhelmed in solo, especially with an unranked mech. Using a Warframe to kill enemies alongside of you, like Octavia, is pretty much recommended for this if you want to do this, and it might also work better in a group. On top of that, there's quite a lot of downtime while you're trying to get the canisters to start the event. But on the other hand, you get diluted thermia out of this, so that's a plus if you need stuff from the Exploiter Orb as well. so you can kill 2 stones with 1 bird. The second option in Alt Valis is the second stage of the Profit Taker heist. You have to complete this bounty all the way until you've defeated the Ambulance at the end, and then where you have to pick up the data mass, and just don't pick it up, enemies are continuously respawning. Except if you're doing this in solo at least, barely any enemies actually spawn. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, or you actually need a team for the enemy spawns to be like worthwhile. I don't know, but in my opinion this method is not very good. And then the third option is taking over bases that are scattered around Alt Valis. There's quite a lot of spots on the map that you can take over, but you can alternate between 2 spots, so just pick whatever 2 locations you desire and go for it. I personally alternate between the Pearl and the Temple of Fabrication, but you do you. Go to one of them, kill enemies until they drop the data mass, drop it into the thingy and get to killing. Once you're done, just pick another spot, do it there, rinse and repeat. You can overtake bases in Steel Path as well, but my Necramech died way too often for it to be worth it. But maybe I just suck and you actually have to have friends or something, I have no idea. But if you're confident, that might be an option worth exploring. Now let's swap over to the Camion Drift. And the Camion Drift is basically 2 methods that are worth mentioning. The first one is pretty straightforward, just run bounties, set your game to public, run whatever normal bounties you want to do, and once you get to the objective, just jump into your mech. This is super slow, but probably you have to farm these bounties for standing and other things anyway, so you might as well pick up the free XP. Do not try and level your Necramech doing solely bounties, because it's just not fast enough for that. The other method on Deimos is isolation vaults. You can use your mech on the mission itself of course, but I'm mostly talking about after killing the Necramechs in the vault. Don't go to the part where you find Lloyd, where you have to like shoot the reactive crystal, or leave the vault by taking a right with the tentacles. Enemies will continue to spawn in the isolation vault after you kill the mechs. But infested suck for XP, what the heck man? Normally, yeah, but in here the big boy infested actually give good XP. For example, the Deimos Saxern, however you pronounce that, in the level 60 isolation vaults give like 2000 affinity, and they're not even rare either. And this also brings me to my preferred leveling method. At first I thought isolation vaults kinda sucked for experience. Enemy spawns were slow, and those same big boy infested are like super healthy. On top of that, the infested spots that they like spawn out of, they don't give experience until you like actually let the enemy spawn out of them. So if you kill the pods that they spawn out of like before they actually spawned, you don't get experience out of them either. Well, it turns out, if you find the sweet spot, you can have the pods literally appear like right in front of you. I personally had a lot of success in infested corridors, but you just have to find a spawn point and park right next to it. You might have to move around a bit and kill enemies and then go back to the spawn point, because there's an enemy spawn cap. So it's a little bit weird sometimes, but believe me, it's worth hunting those good spots. Once you found your camping spot, wait until they pop out of the thingies and mow them down. Here's where the Exalted weapon of Void Rig really comes in handy. It mows down the big boys like a pea shooter, barraging them with mini nukes. Wait for the spawns, pop them, wait until the next pods, and repeat. The problem here is that your Exalted weapon only becomes usable at level 10, and obviously Bone Widow just won't have this option. And on top of that, using warframes like Wukong and Octavia actually often kill the pods before they spawn the enemies. So what I personally do is I capture bases in Alt Valis or do bounties on Deimos until I reach rank 10 on my Void Rig, then swap over to an Isolation Vault and go straight to max level there. If you're leveling Bone Widow, you can try to kill them with a good arc gun like the Marcelon, but it will definitely be slower and your mech might die a lot more often as well. Getting a carry will also work obviously, or you can use any of the other methods or try to find friends, I guess. In case anyone is curious, here's my final build for my Void Rig. The best way to build your Necramech currently is making good use of Necramech Rage and Repair for effectively infinite energy and good survivability. I really freaking hope that DE will add Necramech Repair to the game soon. The mod is way too important to be unobtainable outside of trading with other players. This also kinda means that shield mods are actually bad for this build, and the rest of the build is mostly for getting the most out of Void Rig's Exalted weapon and mobility through the use of Slipstream and other engine related mods. Anyway, that's all I have for today. It doesn't matter what you do, leveling Necramechs is a painful and slow process. I hope this video will help you level a bit faster, and let's hope you get a better way of leveling Necramechs sooner than later. I would ask to like and subscribe and all that, but I only upload like once a decade, so yeah, I probably wouldn't bother. Have a good one, bye.